second time. The member for Werriwa.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I don't think I would be exaggerating too much today by stating from the outset that I think my predecessor, E.G. Whitlam ACQC, will be pleased for this piece of legislation. The reason is simple and twofold. Firstly, Gough was a great believer in ratifying international conventions. He thought they were a great way to make progress both at home and globally. And today's bill will amend the Sea Dumping Act to meet Australia's international obligations under the London Protocol to support ratification of the 2009 and 2013 amendments. Of particular interest, of course, is that the forerunner to this protocol was the 1972 London Convention, which was started on the 29th of December 1972, 27 days after Gough's first historic victory. Secondly, I think Gough would be delighted today because of the subject, protecting the marine environment. Through the 60s, the Bjelke-Petersen government advocated for oil drilling on the Great Barrier Reef. In response to this, the Whitlam government passed the Seas and Submerged Lands Act, which gave the Commonwealth authority over the states in relation to the seas surrounding Australia. The aim of Gough's legislation was clear: to block the wholesale destruction of the Great Barrier Reef. And despite efforts by the New South Wales and Queensland governments in the High Court, Gough triumphed and the legislation was confirmed as valid and the reef was saved forever. Then, in 1975, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park was created. Sadly, of course, a new threat, this time climate change and not the Bjelke-Petersen government, has emerged to threaten the reef. That is the subject for another day and another debate. This bill will regulate the loading, dumping and incineration of waste at sea and the placement of artificial reefs in Australian waters. It will also prohibit the disposal of harmful materials into the oceans that are considered harmful to the marine environment. The government realised that while these amendments were agreed to by the parties to the protocol in 2009 and 2013 respectively, neither has yet entered into force. Excuse me. The 2009 amendment was adopted to permit the export of carbon dioxide streams from a contracting state party to another country for the purpose of carbon sequestration in seabed geological formation, also known as carbon capture and storage. The 2013 amendment was adopted to allow the placement of waste and other matter for the marine geoengineering activity, such as ocean fertilisation, for the purposes of scientific research. Examples of these sort of scientific activities include microbubbles, injecting tiny bubbles into the ocean surface or into sea foam to increase sunlight reflectivity. Marine cloud brightening or seeding, injecting sea salt into cloud updrafts to reflect sunlight back into space. Ocean alkalisation, adding alkaline substances into seawater to enhance the ocean's natural carbon sink. And microalgae cultivation, large-scale growth of algae that convert dissolved carbon dioxide into organic carbon through photosynthesis. Since the passing of this bill will ensure Australia is able to begin developing a robust regulatory framework. In turn, this will enable the government to administer permits for these internationally emerging activities and ensure legal certainty. Put another way, should this bill not be introduced, there would be no robust regulatory framework such that operators and researchers may look for loopholes and create their own initiatives to undertake unregulated activities. The bill makes updates to the Sea Dumping Act to provide effective implementation and enforcement of new permits. The bill will also adopt modern drafting practices, and this bill is long overdue. Our marine environment is too precious and fragile to ignore. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, and 7% of Earth's water can be found in the ocean. Recently, I was shocked to learn that even the deepest parts of the ocean, in the Pacific's Ocean Mariana Trench, plastic waste has been found. That's 36,000 feet down and a shameful indictment on how we've neglected our environment and our oceans. We need to act now. I commend the Minister on bringing the bill to the House, and I also commend the widespread consultation that has been undertaken both within government and external stakeholders. Indeed, these amendments were the subject of a recent inquiry undertaken by the House of Representatives Standing Committee on Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water. The committee recommended that these changes be enacted into Australian law for both environmental and regional foreign purposes. Further, the enactment of these amendments was also recommended in an independent policy insights paper from the Climate Change Authority in April 2023. Thus, support for these measures in this bill is overwhelming. This member for Werriwa commends the bill to the House in the full confidence that her predecessor, the great Mr Whitlam himself, would heartily concur.
The question is that this